I am smiling because I have a bunch of great stories to tell you about audiophiles, odd audiophiles, weird audiophiles, strange audiophiles. I mean, but look, I'm not making fun of these people. I am an audiophile. I am a proud audiophile. I've always been an audiophile. So, I've met a lot of people though. And some of them stand out in my memory as being very, well, strange, right? I'll give you an example. Now, I'm not going to use anybody's real name except people who have made videos about on this channel. So those will be their actual names. This story takes place in the early 1980s. I was a hi-fi salesman at Sound by Singer here in New York City. A guy comes in, Harry, and he says to me, I want to buy a system one piece at a time. Start with a turntable, then get a preamp, then get a power amp, then get speakers and cables and all that stuff. I said, sure, that makes sense. Let's do that. And he said, no, I don't want to have delivery of these pieces until the system's all done. I said, that's odd. It's going to spend thousands of dollars and not get to have any enjoyment out of it. He said, no. I said, a nice little system to keep you going while you're, no. He came in, he bought a turntable. He came in 3 months later, he bought a preamplifier. And then he came back and he bought a power amplifier. And then he disappeared. Now, the turntable, the power amp, they were in the basement at Sound by Singer, but he was gone. I had his telephone number, but I didn't know anything else about him and his name. And this is a true story, by the way. And he never, ever came back. He never came back to get his money back or to get the products he bought. No, he just flat out disappeared. That was very, very strange. Oh, one interruption. Yes, there will be an Audiophiliac viewer system of the day and also an album of the day later on in today's show. I mean, there was another guy who had a similar story. He used to buy things, have them delivered, but never open the box. Same plan, that he was going to buy a system and only open the boxes when the system was complete. And he also flat out disappeared from the face of the earth. So that goes in the strange category, definitely. Now the next one, and I'm going to use his real name because there's a video of it, Joe the Cop. This guy was a retired New York City police officer, and he was 1,000% an audiophile. He was a DIY audiophile, and he built this incredible speaker system, this horn system. He was actually designing his own turntable at the point I made this video. His passion, his devotion to making everything as perfect as he could. And he just kept doing, and he did. He had a working system. It was a very impressive system, and he had a complete workshop in his basement, a machine shop in his basement where he's building all this stuff. That's that one I am going to link to, and those two videos. And you can see how amazing Joe the Cop really was. So at Sound by Singer, we used to sell acoustat speakers, big panel electrostatic speakers. And one of my customers, Sal, he lived way out on the island, the end of Long Island. And he had these speakers and he was happy with the speakers. But about 6 months in, he called and he told me that he was concerned that the right speaker wasn't as loud as the left speaker, that the sound was shifting over to the left. So, I talked him through some troubleshooting things, reverse the cables, blah, blah, blah. And we went through this whole thing and he said, no, he kept insisting that the right channel acoustat was quieter than the left channel. And at this point, we ran out of options. I wanted him to be a happy Sound by Singer customer, so we actually sent a technician all the way out to the end of Long Island. I mean, this was probably like 3-hour drive. We sent this guy all the way out to his house to hear the system. And he gets there and he's amazed by what he sees, that there is a large couch in front of, blocking the right acoustat speaker. And it was a tall couch. So like half of the speaker was being covered by the couch. And he says to the customer, well, that's why that speaker is quieter than the left speaker. And he said, but, making excuses. He says, well, there's nothing wrong with the speaker. Let's push the couch out of the way and we will see that the left and right speakers are fine. But you can't have a couch in front of the speaker and cover half the speaker and expect it to be as loud. He grudgingly accepted that explanation, but it took some time. But meanwhile, this poor tech that had to go all the way out there and then all the way back, what a total waste of time and money for Sound by Singer to send this guy out there for the day. So anyway, that was definitely one for the books. But much more recently, I had a similar thing with one of my friends who's an audiophile, and he has Magnepan 0.7 speakers. And he didn't have a couch in front of one of the speakers, but he had a large chair between the speakers, like slightly ahead of the speakers, like 1.5 feet in front of the plane of the speakers. And the speakers were too close to each other. They were only like maybe 4 feet apart. And it was really weird. And he said, do you think that that large chair in front of the speakers affects the sound? And I said, of course it does. Absolutely it affects the sound. You have this big thing between your speakers. Yeah, that's not ideal. And he's like, well, I really need to have the chair there. I said, how about when you're listening, you could move the chair out of the way? And I did not convince him to do that long term. So I did my best. I tried, but I failed in that case, absolutely. Now, this next one is a bit Twilight Zone-y, but this is the story. So I had this guy, another customer at Sound by Singer. His name was Robert, and he loved his system. And I was happy for him that his system sounded so great. He was so pleased. He was hardly buying anything anymore because he thought his system sounded so good. And I said, you've done it, man. Great. Good for you. And then he said to me, you got to come and hear this thing, Steve. You'll be amazed how great it is. I said, yeah, I kept, gently putting him off. And he kept bugging me to go. And I kept, getting out of going. So he comes in one day and he says, you know what, Steve? How about this? I want you to come, listen to the system. And if you don't think it's the best sounding system you've ever heard, I'll give you $300. This is like 40 years ago. He said, I'll give you $300. I said, that's nuts. I don't want to take your money. I said, chances are it's not the best sounding system I've ever heard, but I don't want to take your money. And he kept bugging me to do this. And I said, okay, here's the deal. You're going to get 3 $100 bills. I'm going to come. Those $100 bills are going to be on your coffee table. I'm going to listen to 2 or 3 songs. And then if, in my opinion, it's not the best sounding system, and remember, I've heard a lot of great systems at that point. If it's not the best sounding system I have ever heard, I'm going to take those bills, put them in my pocket and say thank you and leave. There'll be no discussion, no convincing. My ears are going to tell me everything I need to know about the sound of your system, and that's it. Are you okay with that? And he was like, oh, yeah. So this whole scenario that I cooked up was weighing on me, right? So I did. I had to go. I felt like, let me just get over with this, right? So I go to his apartment. Yes, the $300 bills were laid out on the coffee table. We played some songs, and I said, it's not. I'm not going to take your money. I just can't bring myself to take your money. You're not a wealthy guy. This is 40 years ago. I'm not going to take your money. But it isn't. And I named some other systems that I heard that I thought were better and everything. But, it doesn't really matter what I think. You're the one that matters. It's your system. You're listening to it. And I'm so happy that you are enjoying it. And I don't think you need to change anything. So thank you very much. And I was on my way. There was a company in this time period, again in the 80s, that was run by a very eccentric man named Harvey Rosenberg. The name of the company was New York Audio Labs. And they made some great sounding, pretty affordable gear. And they made an amplifier. Their biggest and most powerful amplifier was called the Moscow 600. And it was a hybrid amplifier. It had tubes on the input, solid state output. It was I think it was 600 watts a channel, and it was a great amp for the money. And one of the things that Harvey did, because he was kind of a smart marketing guy, is that packed in the box with the amplifier, when somebody bought it and they opened the box, what did they see before they saw the amplifier? They saw an adult diaper, right? An adult diaper with a message that you should put this diaper on. You should wear this diaper before you listen, because you will be so amazed you will crap in your pants. That's how good this amplifier is. And what was the result of that? It made people smile. It made people laugh. He humanized the relationship between customer and the company itself that made that product. And Harvey did so many really cool things in his life, and he was fun to be around. And I remember one time he showed up at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and he was at a hotel where part of the show was that had swimming pools. Now, mind you, this was in January, but had swimming pools, and you could lounge out there and have fun and talk to people. And Harvey showed up in an outfit that people still talk about. Now, Harvey was kind of a chunky guy, middle-aged gent, but he came wearing a Scottish kilt with his very hairy legs exposed, and he had a headdress, like an Indian headdress, but instead of feathers, it actually had vacuum tubes in his hair. And he just strolled around as if this is a perfectly normal thing, right? So he was the talk of the show. Harvey from New York Audio Labs was an instant celebrity. I mean, he already was pretty well known, but that, like, everybody talked about his outfit and the way he, let's say, carried it off. Like, he just made it seem like, of course, this is the way I normally dress. So here's another one. This is not a customer story. This is one of my friends who was a tech, and he was designing electronics amplifiers, preamps, and phono stages and stuff like that. And he was really interested in designing very, very low-powered electronics. So he invites me over to his apartment to listen to a 0.5 watt amplifier. And he had these very high sensitivity line array speakers that he built. And he's playing me some stuff. I thought, wow, it's really good. Very nice. Sounds great for a 0.5 watt. And he said, no, Steve, you don't understand. These speakers are really high sensitivity. I don't remember the number. But he said, these are really high sensitivity speakers. They will blow you away. I can blow you away with a 0.5 watt. And then he proceeded to play this opera singer. I'm going to, of course, mangle the pronunciation of her name, Diamanda Gallis. And so she had this gigantic range, and he's playing it so loud. I was begging him to turn it down. It was that loud with a 0.5 watt. He was one of the true believers in low-powered amplifiers. And that demo, I still think about how cool it was. She was, beyond being loud, it sounded really good. She was right there between the left and right speakers. It was freaky how good. It was a CD, actually. How good. And it was just her by herself, without an orchestra and anything. It was just like a solo performance of extreme dynamic range and extreme operatic talent came through that demo. I'm going to end this parade of weirdos and oddballs with a man who actually became a friend of mine. His name is Yale. I did a video, which I will link to. And he lives in New York City. I went to his apartment. Beautiful apartment. He had, like, 10,000 LPs, really cool turntables that I had no idea what they were, strange tube amplifiers scattered about, horn speakers, and to me, he was definitely an audiophile. So I set up the tripod, we start to do the interview, and I started the interview with the question, are you an audiophile? Yale, are you an audiophile? And he said, no. He puts up his hand, stop shooting. No, I'm not an audiophile. I said, you look like an audiophile. You got all this stuff that would mark you as an audiophile. He said, no, I'm not one of those weird people I said, that's cool. Well, let's start again. So the video that you see that I posted is, I say, are you an audiophile? And he said, no. And I said, you look like one, and blah, blah, blah. But it was just so curious that a man who had that much stuff that would mark him as an audiophile absolutely insisted that he is not one of us. After last week's run-in with Taylor Swift, I was hungry for something a bit more reality-based. So I went with this one, Springsteen, Nebraska. Now, well, this is as real as it gets for Springsteen. It's just him, guitar, harmonica, and sings from the heart. This is, by the way, the Audiophiliac album of the day. And it sure is. These songs like State Trooper, where he's yelping, it's so from the heart. This guy's got soul. You know, he was watching a lot of movies, like Terrence Malick's Badlands fits perfectly with this album. He was reading Flannery O'Connor, Bob Dylan. I mean, he was, you know, it's like he was trying to find a new version of himself. This is essentially a solo record. There's no E Street Band on this record. And I know that some people say he was recording demos and it was going to be an E Street Band record, but it didn't work out that way. So I think he made the right decision. But anyway, you listen to this record and it's the rawness of the record. It's Springsteen at his most. Springsteen, totally unplugged. You know, I love the reverb on this album. It's very Elvis Presley, Sun Records kind of reverb. So yeah, it sounds authentic. And that is what I needed after spending too many days listening to Taylor Swift. And now we'll cruise on over to the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. Damien sent in these pictures. As for the components, there's an Adcom GFA 535 power amplifier, Adcom GTP 450 preamp, SM-SL SU1 DAC. The equalizer is a Technics SH8017. Damien is streaming Apple Music with an iPad. Now as for the speakers, the big ones are Polk Audio SDA A1. The speakers laying down are Klipsch RP600M. Those are actually Damien's very first set of speakers. And lastly, there's an Infinity PS10 subwoofer. Thank you, Damien. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you really dig this channel, please consider joining my Patreon. You can join for a couple of bucks a month, up to $50 or even $100 a month. At the top two tiers, you and I will have a one-on-one conversation every month, more or less at the beginning of the month. And one other thing, if you join at any level, you gain access to exclusive content. And there's a lot of it on the channel. So anyway, thank you again for watching. I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.